Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jennifer Meckles.
And I'm Kim Christensen. 9 News Investigates has confirmed prosecutors have offered a plea deal to the couple accused of improperly storing nearly 200 bodies in their Penrose funeral home.
9 News reporter Rachel Krause is following this story as it breaks tonight. Rachel, what is the DA offering in this plea offer here?
Well, in an email to victims obtained by 9 News, John and Carrie Halford have been offered a deal to plead guilty to nearly 200 counts of abuse of a corpse. If they accept the plea, John would get 20 years in prison and Carrie would get 15 to 20 years. I spoke with the mother of a victim whose body was left in their funeral home. She's frustrated by the deal that's on the table here. Sheila Canford-Jones says she expected the DA's office would offer the Halfords a plea deal. She didn't expect to see one so low. Sheila says her daughter Morella was kind, loving, and a bright young woman, a mother herself. Morella was just 38 when she died. Sheila turned to the Return to Nature funeral home to handle the service. She says her daughter's body was left there for years. She says the plea deal for the owners of Return to Nature feels like a slap in the face.
What galls me is the fact that you can say, oh, these people were dead and they did this to them. It's not like they killed them, but it is like they killed them again to us. You know, to us, it's like they died all over again.
John and Carrie Halford are also facing federal charges for fraud and misusing COVID relief money. They'll be back in court next Thursday, and according to the email obtained by 9 News, they could accept the plea deal anytime between now and October. That email also says the DA expects the Halfords will plead not guilty and move forward toward a trial. Rachel Krause, 9 News.
A man accused of shooting 3 people at random in Aurora is being held on a $2 million bond. Austin Benson made his first court appearance today. He's accused of shooting a woman in a car, seriously hurting her, then shooting 2 other people who were out walking just blocks away. Benson's been accused of a similar crime in his past. Back in July of 2018, he was charged with attempted murder after somebody driving along a road in Douglas County randomly shot at people. Then in December of 2019, he was accused of assaulting staff at a hospital. A judge dismissed those 2 cases after concluding the man was not competent to stand trial. Ryan Brackley, is a defense attorney and former prosecutor. He's not connected to this case, but he weighed in and said, state law is clear. Charges get dropped if there appears to be little hope of restoring a suspect's competency within the reasonably foreseeable future.
It's a very tough situation for a court to be in, or a prosecutor, or anyone really in our system to wonder what could happen, what could go wrong. It's a nightmare scenario for a judge.
In court today, a judge ordered Benson to stay away from the victims in this shooting. Benson is due back in court on Friday.
A former DNA analyst now under criminal investigation earned more than $500,000 in overtime, paid for by taxpayers. Colorado plans to spend millions more after CBI learned Missy Woods manipulated data in hundreds of cases.
9 News reporter Kelly Reinke got a hold of some court documents which have more details about how this is now affecting a 45-year-old murder case. Kelly?
Yeah, Jenny and Kim, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation says Missy Woods manipulated data in more than 650 cases. This murder case in Weld County isn't one of them, but because there are now questions about her credibility, the trial has been pushed back and prosecutors have asked to retest the evidence. Questions about who killed Kay Day in 1979 went without an answer for more than 40 years. And then a break. A DNA scientist at CBI named Missy Woods helped deputies in Weld County arrest James Dye in 2021. Dye hasn't gone to trial yet, and now it's been delayed even more because that analyst is facing her own criminal investigation. Court documents obtained by 9 News say there's no evidence Woods' misconduct impacted this case, but after an internal review found she deleted data in hundreds of other cases, prosecutors want to have the evidence retested. District attorney said she breached the public trust and in the process quite possibly committed hundreds of criminal acts. If they called Woods as a witness during trial, she could plead the 5th. Investigators in South Dakota are still reviewing whether Woods broke any laws. The 29-year veteran at CBI was considered a golden child that management loved, according to defense attorneys for James Dye. She handled so many cases. A coworker in the internal review said she was one of the highest performing scientists. She worked so much, court records in the Dye case say from 2007 to 2023, Woods earned $500,000 in overtime, all paid for by taxpayers. A coworker accused Woods of manipulating data back in 2018. CBI says there was a review, but the results were never shared with the agency's director. James Dye's attorneys say CBI allowed Woods to continue working the most serious cases, knowing that her fraud could blow like a powder keg. CBI has now launched even more investigations to learn how that complaint in 2018 was handled. They're also auditing the results of all current and previous DNA scientists. Dye is now scheduled to go to trial in April of 2025. Kelly Rinke, 9 News.
July is known for hot weather, and we're coming off a hot June. In fact, June of 2024 finished as Denver's second hottest June on record. Only 2 of the last 30 days last month finished with below average temperatures. I don't even remember them now.
Today felt nice, though.
Yeah, it felt nice today.
Yeah, more of that, please,
It was
Kathy.
a good start.
Which was a surprise, right? Because
Yes.
July, you expect the hot, dry weather. And today we were cool with the overcast, some gentle showers around the area. We're still seeing that tonight. But after the sun came out this afternoon, temperatures did soar into the mid and upper 80s. We are down to 71 in Denver and Greeley, still pretty warm in southeastern Colorado. Winds coming in out of the west and south, but the steering winds aloft are fairly weak, so the showers coming in are tracking northeast and dropping a little bit of rain. And if it's saturated on the soils where the rain is coming down, we've had some flooding issues, some mudslide potential, and a couple of flash flood warnings out across the western slope in and around the Montrose County area. We'll continue to see this scene play out, but the severe weather threat well north and east of Colorado for tonight. So we'll see a little bit of shower activity maybe between midnight and about 2 a.m. We have a weak front coming in tomorrow morning, and that will also help to generate some showers in the afternoon and keep temperatures below average. So we're kind of bobbling the 70s here for the next couple of hours, and we are tracking these showers this evening, a cool front tomorrow, and we'll talk in detail about the 4th of July holiday forecast coming up.
2 young men are believed to have drowned at Poudre Ponds. The city of Greeley says firefighters were training in the area last Thursday when someone approached them about personal items they found on the banks of one of the ponds. Police officers showed up and found a wallet, cell phone, clothing, along with a truck. And they reached out to the truck's owner, who told them the man likely driving it was a friend. Police requested divers search that water. Those divers found the bodies of a 23-year-old and 21-year-old. Both men recovered them yesterday. Their names haven't been released.
Today, the Supreme Court ruled former President Trump has some immunity for some of his conduct as president in his federal election interference case. The ruling states presidents are entitled to immunity from prosecution for official conduct while in office, but they can be prosecuted for personal acts. This case is now headed to a lower court, making it unlikely Trump will go to trial before the November election. In a separate ruling today, the Supreme Court delivered another hit to federal regulators, the third blow in a week.
And as 9 News reporter Rachel Krause shows us, this comes days after the court's decision to overturn a 40-year precedent, weakening federal agencies.
Well, it wasn't too big of a surprise. It's certainly disappointing that they overturned a 40-year-old case. But of course, this really puts the nail in the coffin, so to speak.
Colorado law professor Jonathan Skinner Thompson says previously, if a law was hazy or unclear, federal agencies could interpret what the law meant. The Supreme Court's ruling shifts the power from the executive branch to the judicial, handing judges that power instead.
And the problem is there are hundreds of judges in the country. We don't know what any one judge is going to see when they take a look at these laws for the first time.
That decision leaves countless regulations now vulnerable to legal challenges and opens the door for big changes to federal regulations.
Now you might have judges coming out on different sides. And that's going to have to make its way up through the court system and potentially put more of these cases before the Supreme Court, because they're the final say on all of these matters. So there could be a lot of inconsistency as we go from court to court.
While the High Court's decision will touch virtually every industry, advocates are particularly concerned about environmental impacts. Skinner Thompson says the Supreme Court has already severely handcuffed the EPA's ability to combat climate change.
This latest ruling makes implementing new regulations to fight climate change even harder.
So I think the EPA is going to be a little bit more cautious in terms of what they do. They're not going to be as aggressive on some of the big environmental problems.
Rachel Krause, 9 News.
Skinner Thompson says today's ruling by the Supreme Court on the Corner Post case, combined with the Chevron ruling, both open up the door for future legal challenges to federal agencies.